On May 24, 1883, the Brooklyn Bridge opened to the public, the longest suspension bridge in the world at the time. Its designer had given it 135 feet of clearance above the East River, plenty of room for the sailing ships and early steamers of the era. Nobody at the opening ceremony was thinking about battleships, but for the next 83 years, from the day the Brooklyn Navy Yard began building steel warships until the day the yard closed in 1966, that 135-foot clearance was one of the most consequential engineering constraints in American naval history. It shaped the height of fire control systems. It determined the design of radar masts. It forced engineers to invent folding superstructures on aircraft carriers. And it caused a former Secretary of the Navy to publicly state that the United States could not build the weapons it needed because of a bridge built before those weapons existed. This is the story of how a Victorian suspension bridge became an engineering constraint on the most powerful warships America ever built. The Brooklyn Navy Yard sat on the Brooklyn side of the East River, approximately 1.7 miles from the battery. To reach open water, every ship built there had to travel south, pass under the Brooklyn Bridge, 135 feet of clearance, then under the Manhattan Bridge at 134 feet, then out through New York Harbor. A ship too tall to fit under 135 feet could not leave the yard under its own power, trapped, built in the most sophisticated naval shipyard in America, unable to go anywhere because of a bridge designed in 1869 for ships that no longer existed. This constraint first became unavoidable in the early 20th century, when the Navy adopted cage-masts. These were open latticework towers, steel tubing frameworks that rose from battleship decks to give fire control observers a higher vantage point. The higher the platform, the farther observers could see. The farther they could see, the earlier they could begin directing gunfire. In the era before radar, mast height was directly connected to effective gun range. So, how high could these masts actually be? The Naval History and Heritage Command's official magazine answered that question in a 2022 study. The answer was not determined by what fire control teams needed, not by what the guns required. It was determined by the Brooklyn Bridge. The limiting factor for mast height, the study found, was set by the need to negotiate the 135-foot clearance of the Brooklyn Bridge at high tide. Masts were therefore set at 120 feet off the waterline, not because that was optimal, but because it was the maximum height that allowed a ship to transit the East River and reach open water. Every American battleship built at the Brooklyn Navy Yard with cage masts was a ship whose fire control capability was limited not by engineering, but by a civilian bridge. In 1915, this produced one of the most remarkable public statements any American cabinet official has ever made about naval design. The former Secretary of the Navy, George Meyer, complained that the Brooklyn Navy Yard was located where a modern Navy should not be, and gave the specific reason: the height of fire controls in our Navy is governed by the height of the Brooklyn Bridge, not by what the Navy needed, not by what the technology could produce, by a bridge. That statement was made in 1915. The Brooklyn Navy Yard continued building warships until 1966. If you're finding this as fascinating as I am, go ahead and hit the like button. It helps more people find this channel. Because what happened when the yard tried to build aircraft carriers is where this story goes from inconvenient to genuinely extraordinary. The Iowa class managed the Brooklyn Bridge. USS Iowa and USS Missouri, both built at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, had lower enclosed superstructures than the cage-mast battleships that came before them. Tight, but passable. 135 feet of clearance was enough, barely for a fast battleship. It was not enough for an aircraft carrier. By the outbreak of World War II, the bridge had become, in the words of those who documented it, a major impediment. Carriers being built and repaired at the yard were too tall to transit with their superstructures intact. The Navy's first solution was operational. In 1941, it built the Brooklyn Navy Yard Annex in Bayonne, New Jersey, a separate facility outside the East River with no bridge overhead. Ships went to Bayonne to have their masts removed. Then, profiles reduced below 135 feet, they transited under the bridge for their primary work. When the work was done, back to Bayonne to have the masts reinstalled. The world's most powerful navy was removing the radar masts from its aircraft carriers, transiting under a Victorian suspension bridge, and putting the masts back on, because the bridge built for the biggest ships of 1869 was not big enough for the biggest ships of 1944. After the war, the problem got worse. The new Forrestal class supercarriers were even taller. The Bayonne workaround was becoming unsustainable, so the engineers at the yard invented something new. For the carriers being built in the 1950s, they designed radar masts and communications antennae with hinges, physical joints at the base that allowed the entire structure to fold flat against the deck, lowering the ship's overall height by more than 60 feet. The folding mast, invented at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, invented specifically because of the Brooklyn Bridge. The design was passed to Newport News Shipbuilding for the lead Forrestal-class ship, then used on the Brooklyn-built carriers Saratoga, Independence, and Constellation. These ships left the yard with their masts folded down, transited under the bridge, then raised their masts once they were clear. When USS Independence made that transit for the first time, a reporter from Life magazine was watching. The clearance between the highest point of the ship and the underside of the Brooklyn Bridge was 7 feet. 7 feet. On a 60,000-ton aircraft carrier, the clearance between her keel and the riverbed was 5 feet. The Brooklyn Navy Yard closed on June 25, 1966. The constraint disappeared with it. The warships that came after, nuclear carriers, guided missile cruisers, and modern destroyers, were built at Philadelphia, at Newport News, at Pascagoula. No Victorian suspension bridge between them and the sea. The bridge is still there, 135 feet above the East River, exactly where it has been since 1883. The Navy Yard is now an industrial park with 450 businesses and a movie studio. The ships that had to fit under the bridge are museum ships in 4 American harbors. From 1883 to 1966, 83 years, the most sophisticated naval shipyard in American history was continuously solving a problem that a suspension bridge had created. Cage-mast heights were set by it. Iowa-class superstructures were shaped around it. Folding masts were invented because of it. An entire facility in New Jersey was built to work around it. The next time you see a photograph of a cage-mast battleship, an Iowa, or a supercarrier with a folding radar mast, you are looking at a ship whose design was shaped in part by a bridge built for ships that no longer existed. The bridge won every engineering argument it was part of. The Navy just got better at working around it. What surprised you most about the Brooklyn Bridge's effect on American warship design? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. Thanks for watching. If you want the real stories behind the engineering decisions and unexpected turns that shaped the most famous warships ever built, subscribe. New video every week, and the next one is already stranger than you would expect.